Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting colder. Ooh. But welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing anyway. Let's talk about Tyson Fury, shall we? Why not? Actually, let's talk about Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, because this is the fight we want, the undisputed fight. And there are lots of things going on, you know, with mandatories and belts and all this sort of stuff. But ultimately, we want, even if all the belts aren't on the line, we want the fight that matters. Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk, clearly the two best heavyweights in the world, although Joe Joyce may have something to say about that. But I want to talk a bit about mind games, because there is this strain of thought which is it's very consistent. It's been very consistent for some time now, that Tyson Fury is some master of mind games, and I've never ever believed this, not for a second. I think he's basically just a sort of playground bully who gets in your face and insults you, and because he's very, very big, very imposing and very intimidating, it does work with a lot of people. But there's no real, well, there's very rarely any real mind games goes on. Because if you take what Tyson Fury says word for word and apply it to a smaller person, they'd be laughed at. Well, that's not mind games. That's just a very big person imposing himself on a smaller person. And let's be honest, most people are smaller than Tyson Fury. This is why the Joe Joyce fight would be very interesting, because Joyce is a big effing unit. So, talking to small people, Oleksandr Usyk, can Tyson Fury get into his mind? I don't think so. After the third Chisora fight, which I've done several videos on it now, which was just an atrocious, cynical money grab, a disgusting fight really, and a farce. And all those people who bought tickets and pay-per-views, I mean, you must have more money than sense. I've got some used toilet paper you might want to buy, but it's sold, I guess. We haven't seen the figures yet, and some people, I do know some people who went there to White Hart Lane and had quite a good time. Not because of the boxing, just because they had a good time. They went out and had a good time. But at the end of that fight, Tyson Fury gets into Usyk's face and starts, blathering on like he normally does. Call him a gap-toothed sausage or something. That was quite a good one. Gap-toothed sausage, I quite like that. But, he's on the ring apron and he's insulting him and he's swearing at him, and Usyk's just staring at him. Usyk had his phone in his hand. I thought he was going to take a photo of Tyson. Wouldn't that have been good? Tyson's and then Usyk just goes click. that would have been mind games. But to me, that's not mind games. Mind games is wit. Mind games is being clever, crafty, understand his psychology. And I don't think Tyson is a stupid person. I think he talks an absolute load of crap, but he's not dumb. He's got some street savvy. He's got some insight. He knows how to use his attributes well. But I think Usyk really is cold-blooded. Actually, let me correct myself. No. Let me correct myself there. I think he's got that cold-blooded air because he can control his emotions. That's not to say that he's cold-blooded in the sense he hasn't got any emotions. He does. Clearly he does. But he's won all his titles on the road. I mean, when was the last time he fought in Ukraine? He's won all his world titles on the road. My God, he's held some belts, hasn't he? He's fought bigger men. He's got no problem against Chisora. Chisora was putting it on him early and won some of the early rounds. And I thought Usyk won that fight relatively clearly, but he handled himself perfectly well. He had a very, was it Bradis in the cruiserweights when he had a very close fight, very tough fight. But he can take pressure. In the 9th round, when Joshua was in their rematch, when Joshua was putting it on him. In the 10th round, what happened? Usyk came right back. That's mental toughness for you. So this guy is a stoic. I don't speak Ukrainian, but I imagine he comes across as being extremely intelligent, not to be intimidated by anyone. And when you bear in mind what's happening in his country at the moment, with the invasion of the Ukraine by Russia, I don't imagine that he regards boxing as necessarily that important, other than as a tool in which to promote his country and maybe as a sort of positive distraction or an inspiration perhaps to his people. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Usyk, but the man has got strength. The man has got obviously guts. And inside a boxing ring, Tyson Fury's definitely proved himself. I mean, he's a marvellous fighter. But this video is about mind games, and I don't think Fury gets under Usyk's skin. Not really. I didn't see much. I mean, Usyk don't speak English, so when Fury was effing and jeffing at him, he was probably thinking, what's this guy talking about? He probably understands a few swear words, but you know, when someone they're just talking nonsense, someone gets in your face and you're like, what? You're behaving like this for, you silly sod. Now, the one occasion when I think Fury has shown a definite insight into psychology was against Dillian Whyte prior to the fight. Because especially the final press conference, not the weigh-in, I think was it the weigh-in? It may have been the weigh-in. Yeah, I think it was the weigh-in actually. When, Whyte turned up with all his, roadmen, mates and all this, and big crew of them there, and Tyson Fury had all his family there and all his, traveller community there, and it could have got nasty, but Fury was the one going, oh, let's calm down, lads, and John Fury, of course, was acting as John Fury, only John Fury can. And Tyson was like, no, calm down, Dad, let's have it, He diffused the situation. He didn't just diffuse the situation, I think he diffused Dillian Whyte up here, because Whyte was up for it. Whyte wanted to make a statement by bringing all those black-clad South London fellas up, just to say, I don't care about your family, this is my crew, and we're ready if you're ready. And Fury was, no, you're all right, mate, no. So, and also during the build-up, Fury didn't really put it on Whyte. There was some things said initially. Where are your white feathers? Remember him saying that? Where are you? But he the penny dropped. He thought, actually, I can't really get into this guy's head, because Whyte, of course, didn't respond, and there was radio silence from Dillian Whyte leading up to that fight until about a week before the fight. And Fury kind of assessed that situation and thought, okay, you want to play it like that, we'll play it like that. But he kind of took the sting out of Whyte. Whyte seems to feed on just as Fury does, on energy, on raw energy, on maybe on nervous energy. And I think Fury adjusted his psyche, adjusted his mentality for a more suitable response to how he thought Whyte would react. Because if Fury had got in Whyte's face, that might have pepped up Whyte as much as it would have done Fury. And I'm absolutely convinced that a lot of what Fury says is designed to pep himself up, as much as to get into the head, or to, should we say, intimidate the opponent. I don't think there's anything particularly clever about what Fury does. I think he's an intelligent man, but I just don't buy this idea that he's some sort of psychological genius. He quite clearly isn't. He's not stupid, but what he does is really quite basic. You see it in playgrounds all over the country with little kids doing it. You see it with teenagers who've had a few too many bevies. You see it with people. You see it with older people actually, who've got a drink problem and want to bury their whatever issues they're facing, whatever dark demons they may have, in drink, and then they start getting a bit lippy, and they start. But you notice they pick on other people. I'm going to share something with you actually. A week ago, I arrived at work, and you have to go in the back way. There's a little car park. You walk through the car park, open the door, up you go. It's where I work. One of my work colleagues, this is a very small young woman in her 20s, who she's 8 months pregnant actually. She's probably had a kid by now actually, but I think she's given birth to an elephant. She's fucking massive. Anyway, she was in her car trapped on her mobile, phoning up the coppers. And there was some geezer standing behind a nearby wall, and apparently this guy had tailed. There'd been a little bit of road rage gone on, someone had cut someone up, given the finger, and he tailed her to work. And he was giving her heat, putting it on her, intimidating her, blah, 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 blah. And then I arrived and had words with him and said he should go away. And then a work colleague of mine, a big guy called Joe, I'm not small, don't get me wrong, I'm 6.5 stone, over 6 foot, but Joe is like massive. He's like Dillian Whyte or Dean White. Big black geezer comes in, and he was not happy with this guy, and he really put it on him. And I won't go into the details, but yeah, the guy jumped in his car to try and escape, right? And Joe reached in through. This is another Joe. He reached in through the car and nicked the guy's car keys, and started filming and saying, why were you tailing this young woman? Why were you doing this? Why were you doing that? Well, you're wrong, bruv, you're wrong. It's fucking hilarious. But the reason I mention this is Because this guy, according to the young lady we spoke to afterwards, he'd been a big man when it was just a small, 5'4" tall, 8 months pregnant little girl in a car. He'd been a big tough guy. But suddenly I arrive and he backs off. And then the other Joe arrives, the bigger Joe arrives, and this guy, and I think that what I mentioned that because I think Fury actually has similar tactics. Because he is such a big, intimidating guy, he basically puts it on people, and he can get away with it with most people. It's very interesting that when Joe Joyce jumped up onto the ring apron, Fury, he didn't start throwing insults at Joyce. In fact, he was quite respectful. It was almost like they were having a laugh about it, shouting in each other's faces. Like, look at us, we're a couple of tough guys, which they are. But and there's little Usyk looking at them both, going, "What's going on here?" The bottom line is the purpose of this video was Tyson Fury and Usyk. I don't think Fury gets into Usyk's mind at all. In fact, I think the contrary is more likely. I honestly do. And I really want to see that fight. I think most people do. We want an undisputed heavyweight champ, don't we? But yeah, it ain't going to work with Usyk, the smaller guy. Usyk is too intelligent, too calm, too composed, and you really would have to be a very sophisticated, a genuinely insightful. You would genuinely have to have a very nuanced insight into the whole concept of the psyche and of psychological warfare to get the better of Usyk. I don't see Fury doing it at all, because I think Fury's methods have always been very primitive. But what do you think? I'm assuming you want to see this fight. I think we all as boxing fans do, but let me know your thoughts below. A lot of mind games. People used to talk about Alex Ferguson, when he was Manchester United manager, great at mind games. Well, only if you're dealing with people who are weak, who don't understand psychology. And don't get me wrong, we've all got buttons that can be pressed. It's just that once you discover those buttons, they're easy to press. And it's how you control, when you have certain buttons that can be pressed, certain, shall we say, potential vulnerabilities, how do you control them? How do you control your own emotions? It seems to me that Usyk is brilliant at that, and has proved it again and again in the past. I don't think Fury is good at that. You saw him throwing his toys out the pram with True Geordie. You saw him in the past. He's obviously had his mental health issues, and I give him a lot of credit for coming back from that. But yeah, it doesn't indicate somebody who's necessarily good at controlling their emotions. And also, some fighters are very, they do feed off that nervous energy. You remember Vinny Pazienza? If you're older like me, you remember I followed Vinny Paz from the start of his career until the end. He was always a guy who was in your face, beefing himself up with all this sort of trash talk, and in the ring it was all herky-jerky, multiple feints, and real nervous energy, real sort of high-octane stuff. Perhaps less obviously, but it probably was Nigel Benn. I think Tony Bellew used to do a lot of trash talking to beef himself up. I think he hid his insecurities behind a lot of trash talking as well. And of course, he did fight Usyk, and it didn't have any effect. All his nonsense didn't have any effect on Usyk, and in fact, he got flattened. I don't see Usyk beating Fury. If you want my initial prediction would be that Fury would beat Usyk on size. If they were the same size, or roughly the same size, I'd definitely pick Usyk, but Fury's such a huge man, and I think he would probably beat Usyk on points, but he won't psychologically get the better of him. I think it'll be very, very interesting to see if Usyk can get under Fury's skin. Very interesting indeed. But let me know what you think. Now, leave your comments below. I like reading your comments. If I don't reply to every single comment, it's just because I'll get so many. I've got other things to do in life. No offence intended. I do appreciate your comments. Let me know what you think. If you're new to the channel and you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It only costs nil pence, nil euros, $0, 0 cents. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated. We shall speak again soon. In the meantime, bye for now.